at D. Look at D looking all studious, all sitting up all proper. Meanwhile, I'm going to rest and relax into this conversation. No matter what we do, it's going to be some great energy. See some great energy. I've sensed some great energy. I love these beautiful smiles happening already. I'm so happy to see both DeAngelo and Doc today. Hello, sirs. How y'all doing?
Hello.
Oh,
Grand day.
Jazz hands every day. Excellent. Well, hello to y'all and hello to every beautiful body out there. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Blair G. Hervey. I'm the founder and CEO of The Corporate Strategist. As always, I'm joined by my colorful co-host, my bestie and soul friend of 20 plus years. DeAngelo, would you say hello again to the beautiful people?
Hello, Blair Hervey. Always glad to be here on the Black DEIBA Collective to cause some shenanigans. So that's what I'm here for. That's my new tagline, my new intro. I'm here to cause some good shenanigans, okay, every day at 3 p.m., 12 p.m. East Pacific Central Time. Girl, I can't even get it out. But the people know. The people know. The people know.
When you try to add new lines, you need to make
sure. But that's going to be my new line. I'm here to call some shenanigans on the Black DEIBA Collective Live, okay?
Well, it's a big welcome to your new tagline, as well as to our guest, Dr. MarTeze Hammonds. We are so excited to have you. And welcome everyone to the Black DEIBA Collective Live. D, you got on the yellow sunny, so start us off with our sunny segment, please.
I will be happy to do that. So every day here on the Black DEIBA Collective, we do what we're asking leaders to do in your organizations, to do the art of the check-in. And why we call it the art of the check-in, because we're asking you to dig a little deeper than your surface level conversations that you're normally having. How's breakfast? How's your work project? We want you to really get in there and ask your team members, your employees, your colleagues how they're feeling. And so we're going to show you how to do that right now. So as I call him, Doc, how is your soul, your mind, your heart today?
Grand day, everyone. Thank you very much, DeAngelo. Thank you very much, Blair. I am high and happy and peacock proud to have this opportunity and moment to share with the two of you, talking about things that I live, breathe, eat. I mean, I'm all things diversity, equity, inclusion, if you will, belonging, SWV, X, Y, and Z, escape, etc. Right? I am glad to be 6'2" above ground and not 6 feet below ground. I'm glad to be seen and not viewed. So I am here. I'm ready.
Now that's how you do a tagline,
if you will.
Oh, I gotta get all that in there. Okay, I gotta figure out how to get all that in the tagline. Pastor Reverend Dr. Hammonds came in. Oh, we say you do that. Okay, I gotta get a tagline. I'm gonna work on it
already.
Tomorrow, I'm writing it down. I'm getting it down. It's gonna be about okay. But Blair Hervey, how is your mind, your soul, your heart, and your edges today?
Ooh, so my mind, my heart, my soul's doing just fine. So I started yoga consistently, probably last week. I went to Afro infused yoga, I believe. And then this week I've been going to a center that's just 2 minutes away from me. And I just feel very mellow, very centered. But don't get it twisted. I was definitely sweating up out of my shirt and getting my core work in. But I also feel very drained. I mean, it's my time of the month, y'all. So I got my little blanket up, honey. Yeah, listen, we're women, entrepreneurs, bosses, and we have to endure that as well as all of the other things. But ultimately, I am blessed to be here. My edges are crawling up my face, but I'm still beautiful. So I'm feeling great. How are you, D?
I don't even know how to respond after those. I feel like I should just go home now and let y'all do the show because y'all are just lit today. The guest, the host, everyone's lit today. I will tell you I'm enthusiastic today. First thing, I'm delightful, but I'm really enthusiastic about the show because for two reasons. A, because every day I come on the show, Doc, we always have Blair's magical friends on. So I'm excited that I have one of my magical super DEI friends on today to come and chat with us, and also someone who I consider a mentor because he works in this space and does such amazing work in this space. And then also the reason why I'm happy is we got some men energy on. We have women on the show all the time. We would love some male energy to come on and talk about the great work you're doing. So here's my shameless plug of today. If you're a man, out there who's uplifting the Black community, you want to come and talk about the work you do, please come on the Black DEIBA Collective. If you want info on it, we can send it out to you after today's show. That's my shameless plug for today. But yes, we are so excited, like I said, as always, about being in this space and sharing in this space with you and learning and growing from your friends and from my friends who come on the show sometimes. So it's always great. And I would like more of you to come on the show. Those who have been stalking, you know who you are. I'll be stalking you more after today's show. All right.
I love that, Dee. Thank you for that reminder for everyone out there as well. For anyone who is not familiar with Doc, Dr. MarTeze Hammonds is the owner, founder, principal consultant of MDH Consulting Group in Dallas, Texas, where I was actually born. But he is a native of Kentucky who has crisscrossed the nation as a master facilitator, a keynote speaker, and a consultant. He is also the proud guardian of baby Malaya. And it sounds like a fellow table shaker. I love a good disruptor. So welcome. How are you again today?
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I was like, who is she talking about?
Well, fantastic. Well, it looks like DeAngelo, or sounds like DeAngelo, knows all about you. Do us a favor and in your own words, tell us a little bit about, the work that you're doing currently, but most importantly, what was that pivotal moment that brought you into this work?
Absolutely. So my 9 to 5, if you will, I wish it was only 9 to 5. I am a chief diversity officer at Purdue University, Fort Wayne. I don't mind saying that. And quick disclaimer, everything that I'm saying on today does not reflect that workplace. However, and it is on my own and about MDH consulting. However, I do that work on a day-to-day basis. I got into diversity, equity, and inclusion besides being born and all of my lived experiences. In 2000, I want to say in 2013, the president of the university or college I was working at the time came down to my office and said, starting June, you'll be in charge of all diversity, equity, inclusion on our campus. And interesting, I was like, well, that's interesting because we have a whole department that does this and people who've been here longer than I've been born who are doing this work. And he said, absolutely not. You will be in charge. You will take care of all of that work because your vision and the way in which you see diversity, equity, and inclusion is tremendous for this college, this institution. And then therefore, that's exactly what you will be doing. And I said, oh, can I think about it? No, that's what you will be doing in June. And so since then, I have formally, if you will, been in the DEI track on a more senior level. I've worked as an assistant director of multicultural affairs and student affairs. And for those in higher education know, if you're in student affairs and you're a person of color, it's a sweet spot of the work that you do for folks. Representation matter, period. Right. And so that's how I got there. That's how I got here and been living and breathing it. And, now it just becomes, it's just innate. It's just what I do. I wasn't to be pigeonholed into this role, but I'd tell you what, it's about impacting one life, one person, one moment, one experience every moment, right? Every day. So that's how I got here.
That is so beautiful. We love a good unconventional path here at the Black DEIBA Collective. Yeah. And you sound like, if you're not already, you sound like you would be the ideal candidate to mentor Mr. DeAngelo Crane as he continues his path into senior leadership in this field. But Dee, carry on.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, I went to him one day. I was like, can you be my mentor? So we have follow-up to do because we've both been busy, but we definitely have some follow-up to do.
He literally did say that too.
Right. I understand. So look, I understand today we're talking about being the only and lonely, right? Sometimes when you're working in this space or maybe you're not the only one in the space, but maybe you're the most vocal one in the space. You're the radical disruptor sometimes. The temperate radical, and there's other people who may not be as loud as you are, but you're raising your hand. I mean, when I started working in culture work 17 years ago, when I looked around, there was only white women working in this space, and because some of that was because we was an organization of 70% women, many nurses, right? And so I always was like, okay, who do I go to, right? And I remember as we fast forward, many years later to the year that we were all experiencing racial trauma from watching the George Floyd video, right? And having to educate and talk to people about this and gain buy-in of my team members did not fully understand this part of the employee experience, right? So my question for you is that how do you balance that? Because what we also said was people need to go do the work, but we are the people.
I'm sorry. I apologize to interrupt you. Doc, I'm sorry if you're taking notes or something like that. You're right by the mic. So
can you hear me taking notes?
Or typing or something like that. Yeah, sorry. I was like, I can't hear.
Yeah, I heard something go in and out, but I didn't know it was because I wrote down what.
Yep. Sorry about that. But D, can you summarize your question?
No, yeah, my question is that when you're the person who is doing the work, right, and having to go out there and evangelize and talk to people about this, how do you balance having to do the work and being the person in the work and also protecting your peace and your mind and having others to do their own work as well?
Absolutely. Very, very good question. I'm very clear about meet people where they are, and understand that everybody doesn't show up on the same level. And we have to be able to provide grace before we provide some sternness, if you will. I truly believe that, folks don't know what they don't know, right? And it's our opportunity to think from an asset thinking and not deficit thinking, to be able to empower them to, just like you said, hey, you know what? I could quickly tell you the whole story about George Floyd and the phenomenon, therefore, after 2020. But however, you know what? There's a www. I want you to go and spend some time, doing that research. And then meet me back here in this same place and space and allow us to then cultivate the discussion, develop what you believe, right? It's all about cultural competency. And the key word is competency, right? Awareness, knowledge, skills, then action. Awareness of self and other, building knowledge that you don't know because you need to know, but you don't know. Skills. What are some of the skills that I need to be able to engage with people that don't look like me, act like me, love like me, have religion, or worship in the same way, shape, form as I do? And then action. What am I going to do? What am I going to do next? Right. And so it is imperative that we do just that. And for some of us who are walking in these spaces, whatever you identify as, right? And we can talk about intersectionality because it's some layers. We have to understand that we get it, we know it, and some of these other folks don't. And so in a tactful way, I tell my mentees all the time. I see Darius Jones jumped on as one of my mentees. I tell them all the time that we cannot win the battle to lose the war, right? You can't win the battle to lose the war. So look big picture and still at the same time be able to intentional about how you engage in conversation. I don't represent every Black male. Mm-hmm. I don't represent every Christian. Right. I can tell you about my experiences. I can tell you what the research says, but then you have to go do the work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but there are some people out there who don't know enough to be able to tell the experiences, don't know enough to articulate the theory, that then what happens is, they get into arguments and debates and battles that are going in a circle. And has the dog ever chased and caught his tail? And that's what I feel like they get into, right? And we don't have time for that. Our energy should be best placed other places than that. So that's how, that's how. And I keep refreshing to know that everyone doesn't show up as Dr. Hammonds or Dr. Crane or Dr. Hervey at all, right? They don't show up that way. But they can get there with our help and our assistance. And we're not enabling them by getting them there, right? And that's crucial. So hopefully I answered that question for you. Also,
you did.
I really love that you challenge, and it sounds like lovingly and tactfully, but challenge a person to say, I could share all of this information with you, but what I would recommend is you do your own research, and then let's meet back together and let's discuss our thoughts. I really love that. It shows, of course, there's some action in there and some accountability. But I know that you originally wanted to talk about equity in diversity and vice versa, but more specifically, like DeAngelo said, being the only in DEI can be lonely. And sometimes organizations don't realize that because they're just trying to fix a problem. And I really love studies. One of the studies, according to Gallup, says that less than 3 in 10 employees, so about 28%, strongly agree that their organization is fair to everyone. And so Gallup defines equity as fair treatment, access, and advancement for each person in an organization. So these studies are showing that, not a lot of people are obviously experiencing this fairness or this equity, and that their diversity problem may truly be an equity problem. What would you say to other C-level executives out there that these are indicators that you truly do have an equity problem in your diversity initiatives?
The first thing that we always want to do when we have a problem is we want to throw a survey or an assessment out there. And there's so many that have been done. Let's rely on some of this amazing research that has already been done instead of spending that time to deflect and wait and have to do all this work. We could be doing action. We could be creating action. And so what I'll say to my fellow C-level folks, C-suite folks, and executives and higher ed executives is, sometimes you don't even have to go far to get the answer. Within your enterprise, ask the important questions to the right people so that you can get some of the right and accurate, reports and outcomes. And then when you get them, do something with them. Right? It's not about just filling a position. It's not about just having the next headline that we hired this inaugural DEIB person to do this work. 9 times out of 10, it's probably somebody that's already been working into your corporation that you feel is comfortable, palatable, tolerable. So you're going to promote them into a role, and you're not giving them just that role. You're adding an additional role into what they're already doing and hiding it under HR or somewhere. There's so much stuff that happens, right? And so what I say to that is, listen to the numbers. Listen to that 3 in 10. Listen to 28%, if you will, of folks saying, yes, I feel like I've made it, but I'm still not provided what's needed to be on the same playing field as my colleagues.
That's right.
And what does that mean for us? I love when they say some people are born on third base, but think they hit a triple. And some of us, we don't even have access to the baseball field. Or when we get access to the baseball field, we're given old bats and cleats and worn out stuff like we do in the school systems for some of our, our K through 12 people and pupils. And even, hey, MarTeze, you can come in here. You're welcome to come in here, but you can't bring everybody else with you. You're welcome to come in here, but you can't bring your authentic self with you. MarTeze, you're welcome to come in these spaces. And so it gets lonely when the equity and the needs are not met. So I'm not the one going to articulate to bring DeAngelo in this space because I don't want him to have to hurt in this space where I'm already at. I don't want him to have to join me in hurt. But if I could get him up here in this space to continue to do great work in a place where they're meeting our needs, then that's, look at the studies. The study said that DEIB professionals are only staying around 2.5 years in our high level positions because of burnout, because of this sense of loneliness, because of, we have strategic plans, but we're not being strategic about the strategic plans to make the metrics and the numbers, and we're not given all the tools and resources to be positively advanced and to do the work that we need to do. And again, I say this to anybody, whether you're in corporate America, whether you're in higher education, K through 12, nonprofit, it all matters. Your representation matters. Make sure that when you walk in that space and you get that lead role, that you're leaving a wedge in the door to bring somebody else and not closing the door behind you.
Yes.
Right? Because that is important for this work that we're doing. And for those individuals, while I'm on my tangent, for those individuals that have been promoted and you're not ready, and now you feel an imposter syndrome, some of them, let's be honest, you should feel it because you wasn't ready when you took it. Okay? And then there's other people who are ready, and when they get it, they're provided these obstacles and this sense of loneliness that may preclude them from being their best. and you have to work while it's day, and you have to do your best to be able to make sure and find individuals like you all and others who are positively thinking about this work, and that this work is not about a paycheck, but it's about impact, and it's about ensuring that we are creating a life worth living in all these areas for my nephews and nieces that are coming up behind us. And so quickly it's beside us, right?
Let's go now.
Look, I'm over here. I'm containing myself. Yes.
Right. I want to keep going with this. So, Forbes article I recently read said the 4 ways anti-Blackness shows up in DEI, right? And they talked about the 4 ways was expertise, because we know 81% from recent studies as of 2019, 81% of CDOs are white, right? Chief diversity officers. They talked about deprioritizing Black issues, pay inequities, and aggravating all non-white employees were the top 4 reasons that anti-Blackness shows up. So why are organizations getting this all wrong? Why are they messing this up? And what do they need to be doing differently to really have a DEI strategy that centers, or if not centers, making sure that the Black experience is a part of that DEI strategy?
Yeah, and I love all those statistics. I love seeing them, and I believe Zipper did that study where it was like 80% of chief diversity officers are white. Well, you have to look at how and why they're white, because oftentimes chief diversity officers, although they're considered the chief, they're not reporting directly to the highest level person for their role, and whatever the reason may be. So whoever's the actual highest role that just added diversity yesterday to their title, they're now that chief diversity officer technically, right? The book stops with them. And so that's why the role, think about it, we can go all the way back to the 60s.
Yes.
The role isn't given, the title may now be given, but the responsibility and authority isn't always given. Right. And so that's what is happening. We need folks to make sure that they are in corporate America, that we are looking at eliminating racism. And what are we doing that precludes us from being not just equal, but equitable? Right. And sometimes it takes more resources to get others on those playing fields, to get different populations, whatever those historically marginalized populations may be, to just the equal spot. And that equity is what gets us there. And so I think having a more keen sense of and understanding of what is inequitable in your organization is what's going to help you better get to where you need to be. Diversity is diversity. That's almost like, let's just add a whole bunch of people and put them on the front news and put them on our magazines and put them all over our commercials. But look at the budget. Is the budget equitable? Are the positions equitable? Yeah, the pay. I mean, I applied for a job. I kid you not, real quick. I applied for a job, and I didn't even apply for a job. I take that back. They sought me out and gave me that raggedy job description. And that job description was raggedy because it had a gazillion things that they needed for me to do, right?
Yeah.
Pay was $60,000-$80,000. I'm sorry, what?
Were we looking at the same post?
And I had to have a master's and doctorate preferred and 10 to 15 years of experience when you wasn't even recognizing diversity, equity, inclusion too much prior to 2020. And so you want me to have all this experience, et cetera. And then I told them, I said, before I even put an application in, I would like to see the job descriptions and the salary of my co-folks who are going to be my team members. Wow. And so they're $100,000 more pay than what I was, with less direct reports, with less amount of job descriptions, and with less amount of years of experience. I'm sorry, who are you fooling? I'm not being fooled. Born at night, but not yesterday and not last night. I wouldn't allow that to happen. And so what I did was I educated the talent acquisition people there. And I said, this is what I would have done if I would have applied and got your role. These are the things that I'd had to make sure that we were doing and course correcting quickly. But since I'm no longer interested, I hope you take this information and it helps you find a successful candidate that will be treated well, so that you just don't recruit them, you retain them.
Come on.
Woo.
You just spoke a whole word. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I want to ask this last question because I know we're getting right at time. I used to say, like when I first started this work, the caveat was I moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Portland, Oregon. And if anyone is familiar,
That's a
Portland
caveat.
is predominantly white. So I used to say to myself, and I used to say to others, especially when we started experiencing imposter syndrome, you're not a token, you're chosen. And so even in spaces where I felt like that it could be inequitable, I wouldn't put the complete onus on myself, but I would put some onus on myself to say things like, like what you're saying, educating folks in that particular space so that they can focus on diversity, recruitment, and retainment. But what else? What other things can we do to ensure that once we're in these spaces, if we're feeling or experiencing inequity, we can do something about it? So what would you recommend to folks not necessarily on your level, but folks on, moving into an organization?
I don't want to get churchy, but study to show thyself approved, right? So you need to make sure that you study all aspects of diversity, number one. You can't come in the space only talking about race diversity and not talk about gender and gender expression, orientation, not talk about religion and worldview, not talk about disability, both cognitive, intellectual, etc. So you have to be able to speak the language of all when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, social justice, etc. Right? And so that's number one. Number two, and let that refill your cup. Let learning refill your cup. When you're drained because you're like a bank, oftentimes people withdraw, and they forgot to give deposit. So let your learning help rebuild your bank, your cup. And that's what I say, really do. Know your craft, know what you know, right? And a quote that I coined in 2016, you do not have to lose yourself to support others. You do not have to lose yourself to support others. Another quote I coined is, more than one truth can exist in a space and function. And so when you're in that space and you have one truth and somebody has another truth, find ways to build bridges, not burn them, and figure out how to really be able to talk what you're advocating for, but still be able to do it in a way that you're speaking others' language as well. I'm a chief diversity officer, and I know budgets, I know academic affairs, I know facility management, I know student crisis. Anytime anybody around that table talks about a discussion, you best believe I've been well abreast of it and learned, so then I can give it a DEI lens. And that's where people mess up. Once you know about these other topics and have a wide array of depth and breadth of everything in the room, then you can put your DEI lens on it and be able to share examples that make sense and not you scrambling, looking like a fish out of water. So you really need to make sure that you can let learning refill you. That's even with, if I'm on the beach, I'm going to have a book, right? If, I'm get a lot of vitamin D, but I'm also getting some more wisdom in there so that when I go to battle, I have all my tools, my resources, etc. And so I think that's huge.
You just spoke a word to my soul, because I had been a bridge burner from way back. But some of the things that you mentioned made me realize that, there's an opportunity as long as you take, true onus of that opportunity. So thank you for that.
Burning a wooden bridge doesn't mean you can't build a metal one soon.
We're done. Just pass the plate like you used to. Pass the plate like you used to. That's what I'm going to do right now. Let me put some money on this.
You hear people say, "Oh, don't burn the bridge that you can't." Hey, that's true, right? I mean, most people, though, some of the relationships are built with wood. Titanic and other boats and things were built with materials that now we evolved. And so as we've evolved in friendships, relationships, etc., you can go back and build some of these bridges with organizations, people, thoughts, ideologies, etc., with with metal and something that could be a little bit more sustainable, that is going to impact more people, right? Don't let a bridge be burned and burnt, if you will, knowing that it could easily impact a greater deal of folks with your voice and that person's voice, with your organization, that person's organization. You're missing out on opportunities
and knowledge.
It's not about you.
Surely.
Yeah.
Oh, I have got to start turning this alarm off.
It just reminds
me to take my vitamins and go for a walk. Okay, so but DeAngelo,
put it at 3:32 or 12:32, just 2 minutes later. Okay. Okay. So no, I do have a fun quick question, because one thing that Doc, when we met, we found out that we both were from Kentucky, and so University of Louisville or University of Kentucky sports basketball team. But
what did he say? What did you say?
Murray State.
Murray State. Period.
Period. They don't want to touch us. They don't want to play us. Those are the two known schools, but they won't play us. When Calipari at the UK played us when he was at Memphis, they thought they were going to beat us in basketball. We beat them and took their $500,000 to $600,000. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I mean,
I wish I had something to add to this conversation.
Okay, Murray State. Just say Murray State. And
Murray State. Okay. Well, I know, D, you have a shout out of the day, but I also want to make mention of one of the comments here. Michael Smith, he said that he thinks that it's a strong challenge for an organization to get a snapshot of where they are today and create a roadmap to a vision of where they want to be. I honestly feel that they hire people and publicly proclaim that they are for inclusion and hire people to support it just to promote the organization and self-congratulations. When the going gets tough financially, the DEI team is likely one of the first groups to be let go. Michael, thank you for making that mention. And I'm sure that that's something that we can continue talking about in one of our next conversations.
Yeah, I just quickly want to say,
Mm-hmm.
build the ROI. Build the ROI that they won't get rid of them, right? When I first got here, they'll tell you, they already, my 6-month period, you had a report. My 12-month, you have a report. And so make sure that you're showing the metrics and the impact so that it makes it hard for them to get rid of you. But everything else you said, Michael, absolutely is true. And so since we already know it, don't let that preclude you from doing great work.
Love that. Thank you.
Close it out, Blair. I'm good. Close it out.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you know what? I feel like we should be passing around your Cash App or something like that, but we don't do that. But you did a fantastic job. We really appreciate your energy. I mean, I really felt it in my heart, my soul, and you refilled my cup for sure, and gave us tons of knowledge. So thank you, Doc. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, please invite your friends, your colleagues, your associates, your team members, and for anyone else out there, you have a voice, you have a story to tell, you have some information to share, and we would love to hear you and hear from you. So please make sure that you message us. You can see our handles at the bottom right of the screen. And if nothing else, make sure that you join us and support us every single weekday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for your daily dose of D&B with D&B on the Black DEIBA Collective. Everyone have a great day. Thank you. Bye now.